Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the free-to-play Prime Battle LR Buu and Babidi. They are a physical extreme type Prime Battle LR, and you can earn them entirely through the Buu and Babidi event that will appear in the top right hand corner and will appear in the description below. They are a Majin Buu Saga 130% type lead, and they also have a nice effect on both their 12 and 18 key skill. They have a medium chance of sealing and stunning the attacked enemy on both their 12 and their 18 keys, so it's quite nice. You get the chance to either stun or seal, which is really helpful. Provides a lot of utility and control in ESBR and SBR events. In terms of their passive, they are a key +3 and attack and defense +40,000, plus an additional key +3 and attack and defense +30,000 when the target enemy is in attack down status. That additional attack and defense will only occur once they actually attack the unit. In defensive down status, stunned, or the target enemy's super attack is sealed. They launch an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack, and they recover a 5% health at the end of the turn when an attack was received. Because they have a built-in additional, and because they have the chance to stun and seal on their 12 and their 18 key, your main build for these guys is really going to be to go for a crit build. Getting that crit build is really going to augment their damage. Their key and their additional attack will only appear when they fire off their attack. In terms of build, I think that's holistically the best way to go. Go for mainly crit and then fill out with additional as need be. They don't stack defense or attacks, there's no real point. Their links are Masters of Magic, Thirst for Conquest, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Fear and Faith, and of course Legendary Power. So pretty solid, and Shattering the Limit, which is a key link. Pretty solid link set overall. Obviously some are a bit rarer to find, but they have enough decent links in there: Brutal Beatdown, Fear and Faith, Shattering the Limit, and Legendary Power, that they can trigger them pretty normally. Their 4 categories are Majin Buu Saga, Joined Forces, Terrifying Conquerors, and Inhuman Deeds. I don't know why they're not on Majin Power. I don't know if it's because Babidi himself is not under the influence of the Majin Power. I'm not entirely certain, but yeah, they're not on that category, which is pretty strange. We are going to be trialing them out on the Majin Buu Saga team, and then we'll try them out on the Joined Forces team. Their best team will be the Majin Buu, Terrifying Conquerors, or Inhuman Deeds team. It's just going to depend on who you have as a lead and what kind of team you favor them on. Fortunately, their best running partner, AGL, Babidi, and Deborah, is on every single category they are on. So we'll get a pretty decent look at them. Obviously we're running them on the Majin Buu Saga here, so we have a very solid leader skill covering them. We are going to get a very solid look at how they perform, and then from there we'll be able to see just how impressive they are. Overall, I think they're a really good free-to-play Prime Battle LR. Obviously they're not as strong as maybe the Easy Aid, Strength Frieza, and Tech Goku, but they also are stronger than the Tech First Form Cell and the AGL Trunks and all of them. So they're in a nice midpoint. Obviously that you don't want them as strong as the free-to-play Easy Aids just yet, but you also kind of need them to be pretty impressive. So as you can see, we have 6 links active, which is really good, and 127,000 defense, which is very impressive. So one of the main things about these guys is they will activate an additional defense once they super attack. You can see that their key here is currently at around 16 or so key. When they super attack, they will gain 3 more key, which will bump them up to 19 and create a ultra super attack. That will also mean their defense does go up. It goes up to around about 160,000. It's because that additional portion of their passive will only factor itself in once they begin the attack, because it's conditional based on the unit they are attacking. So it's, I mean, look, it's not too much of an issue. It means that they just basically gain a portion of their strength upon firing a super attack. And that's very, very impressive. Obviously, 160k defense is very, very good. Also, being a unit that can seal and also stun is very, very impressive. And of course, they do really decent damage, especially when paired up with Deborah. So, very, very solid combination there. A very powerful free-to-play combination that you can run. Deborah and Babidi have slightly less defense, which means you want to favor putting Babidi and Buu in the first slot. But overall, it's a very, very, very solid pairing that we have as free-to-play players. So it's very nice when they bring out combinations like this. It basically rewards players who play the game, who farm the units, and you can really see them shine on the stage. Obviously, they benefit from the unit being lowered, but that comes in handy when you have things like, you know, brutal beatdown and all those kind of links that already automatically debuff the opposition and basically, you know, permanently fulfill the status. The only issue is that you can't achieve this status on certain units, like units in the Ultimate Clash, units in the LGE GT, and some of the Gods of Destruction, etc. So you need to just be very careful about when you do those type of things, because, as I said, it can somewhat distort the unit's performance. So you need to make sure that the unit can be sealed, can be stunned, attack load, or defense load, which is a large portion of the game, but you need to make sure that that can happen. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see the full benefits of the unit. Here we go, another really solid attack stat. Not as impressive as the Babidi and Deborah, but they technically should be a slightly better unit because they actually aren't necessarily as easy to get as the Prime Babidi and Buu. They are an Ultimate Clash unit, which means that technically they do require currency that is more difficult to farm than just getting the unit from an event. But either way, they make a really awesome pairing, and it's really fun to use them. It's a really nice combination to have. I think Buu and Babidi have a really good place on any SBR, ESBR style team, any fun Majin Buu Saga team that you want to use to farm events, anything like that. They are really solid on. They gain quite a bit of defense from their links. A lot of their links, like Thirst for Conquest, Masters of Magic, Shattering the Limit, Fear and Faith, and the Brutal Beatdown all gain defense, which means eventually they will improve on their defense already, which is already quite impressive as is, but it will go up slightly from link leveling mainly. But overall, they are really solid. They don't seem to have any key problems as long as they can activate their full passive, and overall they really just seem perfectly fine. I'm really happy with them. I think they're a great addition to the free-to-play LR setup. I think it's awesome that you have a free-to-play powerful linking pairing like this, and I think it's just really awesome that they can bring things like this into the game and really just show off all of these units and how well they perform. And I think it's just great. It's really awesome when they do stuff like this, and I like it a lot. As we can see, probably our lowest attack stat of the day, but still very solid. Going to be able to cause some real mayhem here. You can see the issue is that they can't get their full passive activated, and then of course we're going to get some really good damage from Babidi and Deborah here. But yeah, I don't really think there's too much more to say about these guys. We'll run them on a joined forces team because that is a little bit of a stranger category, but I really think they say everything they need here. The stun chance, the seal chance are all super helpful, and there's really nothing more that you really need in a free-to-play card. I think this is a really good route in them going, pairing up multiple free-to-play LRs with each other and giving you the ability to run them to fill in slots. 130% lead skill is also very good, especially for something like the Majin Buu Saga. It allows you to run a lot of extreme Majin Buu Saga units under it, and it's decent enough that you shouldn't have too many problems. Helps for people who haven't been able to pick up the Strength Vegito, or who have a more extreme orientated Majin Buu Saga team. Of course, we'll now take a look at them on the joined forces. It's a little bit wonkier, like I said. It's a bit difficult to link them up as sufficiently, but fortunately, again, Babidi and Deborah are on the exact category we need, so we'll have a incredibly solid, incredibly awesome pairing partner between the two of them. The only issue we have is that the leader skill is a little bit lower than the previous team. Obviously, with only having the Kale and Caulifla card, I can't really run a double 150% joined forces team, but that's okay. We're still getting a lot closer to a full joined forces team, and things are looking a lot better in terms of the joined forces category. When you look at units like this, you can see that it is a lot better, the performance of the units, and just the team in general is working a lot better. You can float units like Broly, Chilai, and Lemo and have them kind of as a pseudo support. 96,000 defense, not bad. We will gain an additional defensive amount once the enemy has their attack and defense lowered. Of course, without Babidi and Deborah here, we can't activate that full portion of the passive because the link is not generating the attack lowering or anything. So unfortunately, we're not able to show off their full power turn 1. That is one loss of not having Babidi and Deborah as their pairing partner. You need to activate that link. Brutal Beatdown, I believe it is, that lowers the enemy's defense. So it's definitely an important link in terms of getting that turn 1 full passive activation with ease. Otherwise, you place Babidi and Deborah in the first slot and you kind of let them get to their own business. But as you can see, we've got some solid linking pairings across the joined forces team. Able to pair Kale and Caulifla with the Golden Frieza and the Android 17, which is a super solid combo. So we're looking a lot better on the joined forces front, which means it's actually a viable team to run this free-to-play combination on, especially if you have the Frieza and the Android 17 and you're looking for an excuse to run a joined forces team. It can actually be a pretty fun, somewhat interesting team build that you can get here. Overall, I think it's actually quite interesting, the team build that you can get with the joined forces team. So here we go, we've got 88,000 defense on the Babidi and Deborah, and we've got obviously the 96 or so on the Buu and Babidi. However, of course, remember that that's going to increase once they super. It will go up to 120, 130,000 or so. So a really solid defensive number that it will only activate when they super, which is a slight, I say, concern, but beyond that, it's not really too much of an issue. Now that Babidi and Deborah are here, we should be able to activate the full damage of the unit, which is going to be great. A lot better in terms of attack stat, obviously, than the first turn, because we've mainly managed to activate the full passive. We've managed to somewhat activate the full offensive capabilities of the unit. Overall, I'm seeing some decent offensive numbers from them. I think you obviously, with link leveling and with maxing out the key every time and maybe with better supports, you could definitely see higher numbers from them. But I think this is a good representation of where they sit in terms of offensive output. And it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really quite good, especially for a free-to-play card. So yeah, I really think it's a really good bonus for free-to-play players that we can get this card. I think it's really great. I think it helps out a lot of people, and getting 20 stones and 7 Kais for an LR of this quality is really just a big plus for the game. And I think them doing things like this are really good, because no one would summon for a Babidi and Buu summonable LR or anything like that. But a Babidi and Buu free-to-play LR really helps flesh out the category, it gives options, it just really makes things a little bit more entertaining and a little bit more fun for everyone, so I think that's great. Obviously here we've got the defensive support of Zamasu and Gowasu. It's quite a lot, 70%, but it does do a really good job in showing off just how well they do. You can see here that key is still kind of an issue. Even though we have a key support, we have one of our key links activated, and we will get the +3 key for the debuffing. It is still somewhat of an issue. It's very difficult to get 24 max key without getting quite a large quantity of orbs, and that is just one of those things. So yeah, obviously if you are concerned about ki, that's maybe the only thing I would really be concerned about. But it's going to be pretty difficult to get both of their key links. There's not a lot of units that have it. In fact, I don't think there's any other units that really have it. And overall, with their +3 key, as long as the unit can be attack load and defense load, stunned or sealed, which is a large majority of the game, you should be fine in terms of getting key. We've been clearing the 18 key mark pretty handedly. We've only really had 2 key supports or anything. We haven't been changing orbs or anything like that. So we are seeing a really good showing from Majin Buu and Babidi. I think it's been really impressive so far. Obviously, their attack stats have dipped while under the Joined Forces lead, because of course that is a lower overall lead skill comparatively to the Majin Buu Saga lead. But I mean, it is what it is. That's pretty much all you can do. You can't really change a leader skill while you're showing off a category or anything. But they still do really well on both categories. Very impressive, very happy with their performance. And yeah, overall, I'm just quite impressed with them. I think for a free-to-play card, they're really great. I'd rate them an 8 out of 10. You can get them entirely free. You can get Babidi and Dabura entirely free. So really, there's no reason to farm them. It's a potent combination. Just really impressive. And this Joined Forces kind of leader skill kind of is a representation of what they'd be under their own leader skill, and I think that should give you enough reason. I mean, you've seen how impressive they've been under this lower leader skill, and they've got a Majin Buu Saga 130%, so overall I'm really happy with them. I think we're now ready to go take a look at their links and just see who are their linking options. Obviously we know their main linking option is Babidi and Dabura, but we want to get a good idea of who their linking options are and who we can use in trying to get them to have a good link set and on what teams they're going to be on. So yeah, but overall, really impressive display, really happy with their performance. Let's head on to the link section. So obviously one of the main things in terms of links is there's a couple links on them that are going to be a little bit wonky or a little bit difficult to get, and those are going to be things like Masters of Magic. That's pretty random or pretty difficult to get. It's probably their hardest link to get. It's not really a super common link. Then things like Terrifying Conquerors, that's also going to be a little bit difficult to get, and then of course if we're looking at Nightmare and Brutal Beatdown, they're not links that aren't or are exclusive to their card, but they're a weird combination to run together. Obviously because Buu and Babidi are essentially a weird combination, they end up with a kind of strange link set, which is why a unit like Babidi and Dabura, which follows the same kind of trend, ends up being their perfect partner. It's just something weird like that. Obviously we're selecting all the major links that Babidi and Dabura have, and this is just going as a point to prove that this is the best linking partner by far, and they are free, and they're on every category they are on, so there is no reason not to go and purchase this Babidi and Dabura and run them alongside this Buu and Babidi. You saw how impressive their attack stats were, you saw how solid their defense was. There's no reason not to get them. They will run perfectly fine alongside this Buu and Babidi, and they will be a super solid rotation of free-to-play units. But let us move on from that. Obviously we are trying to see if there are other units that can link really solidly with Buu and Babidi. So the first link we'll be looking for is just Shattering the Limit, just a generic key link, just to obviously see if there are other key options for the unit. And then of course we're going to be looking for the Thirst for Conquest link. So as you can see, there are some pretty solid options here. Units like Baby and Bojack obviously have Thirst for Conquest and have the Shattering the Limit link, but they are also fortunate enough to have the Legendary Power link. So automatically they are solid picks when you want to pick them alongside them, because they at least have 3 links with them, which is obviously super solid. A unit like Bojack buffs his allies on his attack, so that will also really help out. A unit like Demon Goddess Toa is also super solid. She has Shattering the Limit, and of course Thirst for Conquest, but she also has Masters of Magic. A lot of these demon units have Masters of Magic, so that's a really solid link to share with Babidi and Buu. So really solid option there as well. Plus she is an extreme type support, so she is relatively solid to run alongside them. The only issue is most of them are only on the Terrifying Conquerors link with Buu and Babidi, which is something you need to bear in mind. Then if we want to take a look at Nightmare and Shattering the Limit, we've got a couple options there as well. Nothing too crazy, just another free-to-play LR like free-to-play Zamasu LR, who also has legendary power, which is a solid option. So as you can see, there are some solid connections there. The only issue for the most part is categories. Again, Buu and Babidi are only on the 4 categories: Majin Buu Saga, Terrifying Conquerors, Joined Forces, and Inhuman Deeds. So you need to make sure that you are selecting units that are going to be on those categories. Of course, if we take a look at all of this, we can see that Deborah is a solid linking partner for them, alongside a couple other Buu units. And, you know, surprisingly, units like Janemba in that are pretty interesting linking partners for him. A couple of Mega Shenrons. But overall, there's a decent selection of units there. It's just going to depend on what your flavor is. There's a couple other Boos as well. So yeah, but that's it guys from me. Let me know in the comments how you're finding Buu and Babidi. But otherwise, as always, stay safe, cheers, and I'll see you next time. And bye!